Over 3.3 billion people use the internet, and most of these 3.3 billion people rely on the internet in one way or another. You could even say that a lot of us are addicted to the internet. But too much virtual reality can really hinder real reality. When we spend too much time on the internet, it can really hurt our day-to-day lives in ways that we may not even realize, which is why we really need to watch how much time we spend on the internet. Some main reasons why we should watch how much time we spend on the internet are because it takes away from real life experiences. It also feeds depression, and it also ruins real relationships. One way that the internet can take away from real life experience is people meeting up online instead of in real life. I have lots of friends that love to play video games when they hang out instead of doing something else like hiking or ice skating where they have real human interaction. And when they do these video games, they just sit on the couch and they really interact with their characters on the TV, and they don't interact much with each other like they would if they were doing some other activity. I also have friends that will talk when they play on the video games through their microphones and stuff like that, and that's what they do to hang out. So they never actually see the person, even though they're talking to them occasionally. But it really degrades the quality of time that they're spending together, which can hurt their relationship in the long run. I also have friends that love to online date. And when you online date someone, most of the time you usually get to know them through text and Facebook. And so when you get to know each other through these things, you miss things that you would have gotten otherwise. I had a friend who met a guy online, and she really liked him, and they were texting most of the time, but when she met him online, in real life, she realized she didn't like him at all, and she was so confused why. But it's because we don't pick up these nonverbals when we're texting people, and so when we meet them in real life, they could be a completely different person than when we thought they were, which is why it's really important to have this human interaction. Humans can also try to live their lives through virtual reality, like social media or video games. And this can usually happen when people are trying to escape something in their lives, like a problem that they might have, and then they try to bury it with the internet, and then they don't pay attention to things that they really need to do, like schoolwork or work in general. And so it can really hurt their lives, especially day to day, if they spend too much time on the internet. Which brings me to my next point about how the internet can feed depression. People that usually spend too much time on the internet are trying to hide a problem that they have, or trying to repress it, which can really up your chances for having depression. And another thing that really adds to the depression of internet is social media, and how people will always post about their best selves on social media. And it's really easy to compare someone's best self with your worst self, because they only post the good things. They don't ever post about the problems and stuff like that. So it's really easy to be misled in that their life is perfect when it's really not. I've even had some friends that have faked going on vacations, and they've said, oh, we're in the Bahamas and stuff like that, but they're not really in the Bahamas, and they just made up that whole thing and made up all these different pictures so people would believe that they went on these really awesome vacations when they never even did. Another way that the internet can really add to depression is the lack of human contact that the internet has to offer. People really need human contact in order to really feel connected with life and really up their quality of life. But the internet, when you spend too much time on it, you get removed from this human contact. And even though you're connecting with people, you're really losing the real connection that you can have with someone in real life, which can really add to your depression. That also leads me to how the internet can really ruin relationships this way. There once was a Korean couple that was obsessed with gaming, and so they spent all their time gaming, but then they ended up pregnant. And so that didn't really affect their gaming though, and they just kept going on and gaming, and the lady only went to the hospital when she went to deliver. And then when they got back home, they just kept gaming, and they ignored their kid in the other room. And they ignored their kid so much that their kid ended up starving to death because they weren't paying enough attention to it. The irony of all this is that they were playing this game where they were taking care of this virtual baby online. And And that's a really an extreme example of what the internet can do to our relationships, but it's really important that we keep that in mind, that things like this can happen if we ignore our relationships because of the internet. It's really hard to unplug from our phones and from the internet when we're with other people, and you can really see this when you're in restaurants, especially, where everyone's constantly on their phone and they're more interested in the person on their phone and the world that they've created on their phone rather than the person next to them. And it really degrades your quality of relationship with someone when you show that you're more interested in this device than you are in the real person that's sitting next to you. So what are ways that we can make sure that the internet isn't feeding these issues? In order to get a real life experience, I feel like you just need to be disconnected from your phone and go out and explore nature. Instead of watching a video about taking a hike, like actually go and take that hike or do that craft that you saw online, and instead do things and get those real life experiences instead of watching someone else get those experiences. In order to help with the depression that can come from internet, I would also say go have meaningful contact with someone. Go out for ice cream or go do something fun where you have to actually interact with the person face to face instead of just kind of talking about doing stuff through Facebook. So you have that meaningful connection that can be missed with the internet. And then also with maintaining your relationships, the most obvious one is just getting off your phone when you're with someone. No one likes to be with someone that's constantly obsessed with their device instead of obsessed with the person that's right in front of them. The internet can be really addicting and hard to have self-control with, but if we can find ways to unplug from the virtual reality that we've kind of created, we'll have a better experience and a better quality of life in all our experiences and also in our mental health and in our relationships. So I challenge all of you to try unplugging from your phones for a little bit and from the internet and just seeing what it does for your life and all those areas, and just see how it goes.